Well, hello friends. Today we are going to work on some GUI stuff because it's been very haxery lately and we need to do something new. So today the thing I would like to do is hook up this menu right here with some more visual indication of what's selected, because this is where you switch how often the table here updates, the update frequency. I guess actually maybe everything in the app follows that frequency. Yeah, so you can see here that CPU graph updates every quarter second, and we switch it over to every 5 seconds. Becomes very slow suddenly. It eventually does something. So I would like this to have sort of like we do for the checkbox stuff already. I guess we don't have any checkboxes in this program. Here we have checkboxes, and I would actually like to switch these over because these are exclusive. I would like to switch this to being a radio button. Dang it, what's something where we have like a regular checkbox, right? Okay, so here, line wrapping, on or off, right? That's like an actual should be checkbox. But for something that you can only choose one out of a set of things, we should use a radio button looking thing instead. And here we should definitely use that. So there isn't really a mechanism for this right now, so we're going to have to make it. We do have a way to group actions together and mark them exclusive, but there's no way to pick that up in menus. So if we look at Paintbrush, for example, I think these buttons here participate in some kind of exclusive action thing, or at least the ones in Hack Studio do. If we go in the form designer, these guys here are like exclusive with one another. Only one can be selected at a time. Anyways, we're going to do something with that. So we'll just start with the system monitor main, and here are the frequency actions. We're making a frequency menu and then adding these actions to it. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to make a G action group, frequency action group, and then I guess we'll make something like make frequency action. Oh, we need to include that also. So make an interval. All right, and this will be essentially we're going to be doing this, but we're going to be doing it a little bit differently. So first we'll create a new action, and this will be the title. And this will be the interval, and we'll copy that. Wait, what is the refresh timer anyway? Okay. And then once we have this action, we can also go ahead and add it to the frequency action group. Like that. And then finally add it to the frequency menu. Now, this is not going to do anything particularly exciting at the moment, because the menu system doesn't care that an action is part of an action group. We're going to have to make it care. So let's see, let's just set this up first. I don't know, well, at least the ones that we had. Oh, also 3 seconds. I don't know why it's set up this way. Oops, 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 oops. not the most inspiring code, but there we go. All right, it's a little bit nicer to look at. So this is the system monitor. Let's just see that everything still looks sane, even with the actions added to an action group. Sim and okay, and they still presumably work. Yeah, okay. So how are we gonna make this happen? So what we really want to do now is we want to, for every action that's participates in an action group, we want to send some information over to the Windows server, because the menus, they all live in the Windows server. And we just, when we create menus in one of the clients of the Windows server, then we're just like pushing over all of the menu data to the Windows server over IPC, and then Windows server creates menu objects on his side, and we just get IDs for them. So that happens. We send IPC messages in gmenu realize menu. So here, where we are sending over, there are 3 types of menu items, by the way. There are actions, which is the things that we were just working with. Like an action is something that has a name, keyboard shortcut, icon, and a callback. And then you can have submenus, which are actions that open menus rather than activate a callback. And then also separators, which are just these, horizontal lines that separate sections in the menus. But in this case, we're working with item type action. So most of that code is actually about icons, it seems like. So what we want to do is we want to pass along sort of a action group ID, I guess. And I guess once we have an action group ID, then we can make sense of everything on the other side. So if we just, when we send this message over, let's see. Let's look at the IPC server definition. Add menu item. It's a very long message. Maybe we should cut it up a little bit. Yeah, it's about time somebody did this. How is this one done? Oh, like that. Okay. Well, it's probably okay. So here we will just add another parameter, action group ID, something like that. And that can be something that we create on the client side. So we'll just give these guys a group action group ID maybe. Okay, and it can just be something that we increment whenever we create a new one. Doesn't have to be so fancy. We'll just do it this way. Okay, magic. I know we could use an ID allocator actually to. Maybe we should be good boys and use the ID allocator since Shannon was nice enough to make one. What the hell is it called? Isn't it ID allocator? Oh, it's an ACK. Shit. Shows what I know. Okay, so then we will make an ID allocator. And action group ID. All right, we have successfully used ID allocator. Now to send these guys over to the other side. So the add menu item now has an additional parameter that we have to include. So at the end of this very bulky thing here, this is a submenu. So for submenus, we don't have an action group ID, which will say -1. And for action, at the very end, we'll say action dot. If we have a group, then action group ID. Otherwise, -1. Okay, and then we'll just expose this. So action group ID. Foof. Great. Wait, what's wrong with that? Don't have action group included, probably, yeah. All right. So lib GUI. Oh, we have to rebuild everything actually because changing all the things. So in the client connection now, when we handle the add menu item message, we have to also include the set action group ID. Okay, so we're gonna put menu items in put them in a action group ID optionally. So const turn m action group ID. Okie dokie. And then, I mean, the important thing now is whether or not the action group is exclusive, because action groups can be exclusive. Oh shit, do we have to actually... Now I'm kind of wondering, do we want to send over the action group state to the Windows server? But I think we can avoid that. Well, we can say that this is only relevant. We only care about doing this for exclusive checkable action groups. So let's see, in gmenu, group ID, let's actually extract this in a different place. Okay, and then let's do something here like if action.group and action.group is exclusive and action is checkable, then action group ID is this. Boom. So then we only send this stuff over for stuff that is in an exclusive action group and is itself checkable, which basically means that it's a radio button. Okay, and then in the WS menu side of things, when we draw one of these guys, when we draw a menu, then we need to figure out, whenever we're drawing something checkable, so right now we just have the check bitmap that's like this guy right here, but for radio buttons we actually have to load them from base res. Actually, that makes me realize that I haven't looked at what the theming of radio buttons looks like, because we use bitmaps for radio buttons at the moment, which is not great. Let's see, which one is it? Unfilled radio circle, right? Like, so we have these little bitmaps that have little gray colors and stuff, and we should actually start to render these things manually somehow. So let's bring up a widget gallery. So we got these radios right here. What if I switch to dark? Yeah, then they're still using the default colors, so it doesn't look perfect. Definitely something to improve upon at some point, but not right now. We're just gonna stick to what we've been doing so far. So if you look in G radio button, we can see that it actually loads up these bitmaps. And I think we are going to move this logic to Style Painter, which is sort of it's a libdraw abstraction that allows someone who's not using libgui, allows them to still paint UI controls. So we'll say paint video button into Painter, because the Windows server does not use libgui. Palette. All right, so let's implement this. This will be useful. Style Painter. I mean, it's not going to be the most fascinating code, but it'll be better to move this here, because then we can also eventually move rendering here, where we render one based on the palette rather than just using bitmaps. Alright. Libdraw, graphics bitmap. And I guess we can get rid of, what do we really need here? We need Style Painter. Alright, and what are the sizes of these things anyway? Res icons, 12 by 12. Alright, so we'll just hard code this for now, because I have to work out how to do this differently at some point anyway. Okay, and then the circle bitmap. I guess that we're just going to move this down here anyway. Okay, and then Style Painter, paint, radio button, painter, circle rect, or yeah, circle rect, and palette. All right. Let me take this logic right here and put it here. And we need is checked and is being pressed. So we'll just pass those along. Bool is checked. Bool is being pressed. And we can ignore that one. Maybe we shouldn't. I don't know. We'll leave it mandatory for now. Okay, and we need to name these arguments here. Painter, rect, be rect, and then I think we're good. G radio button for each in group. Oh, that's pretty neat. So radio button works differently from G action. So G actions, they're sort of standalone objects, so they find their membership by looking at which action group they're part of, whereas G radio buttons are just standard widgets. So they look at their parent widget and then they iterate over all of its siblings that have the same type. And that's how he finds everyone in the group. So every G radio button widget that's a child of the same parent widget are considered to be in the same group. That's how that works. Anyway, those are some nice changes. So in fact, maybe we can separate these out into a separate commit. It'd be kind of neat. Just to get everything to build first. It's pretty weird to be back at work, but it's nice to get back in the routine also. Had some not super healthy sleep schedule routines over the holidays. I don't know about you, but I have a hard time going to sleep sometimes. Oh, come on now. Poof. All right. Let's just check that everything still looks vaguely right. Okay, we got a radio button looking all right. We changed the theme, still looking all right. Okay, so that's a great change. Let's see. That would be style painter and this guy and G radio button. Ah, these files are irritating me. Alright, let me just clean up real quick because it's too much stuff here. Alright, there we go. Okay, so let's commit that. Live draw plus the GUI move radio button painting into style painting. This will allow Windows Server to draw radio buttons. Boom. Okay. Now in WS menu, let's go and see where we draw. Because menus are drawn a little bit in a different way than other stuff in the system. With the menus, we just draw the whole thing in one go. I mean, one menu being, it's like one unit of menu, like the edit menu here. Everything from the top left here to the bottom right here. That's one WS menu. And we draw it all in one go. We never do partial updates of menus, which, you know, it's something that we could do. I probably should look into doing at some point, because it's always nice to do as little as possible. Because this function is a little bit bulky, I have to admit. So, let's see what we do. We iterate over the items. And the most interesting one is menu item text, which sort of corresponds to action items on the client side, but of course there's no action object in the Windows server, so they just become text menu items. And here's the part where it's checkable. So now we got to figure out if it's checkable, but if it's also part of an action group. So I guess we'll say if item action group ID is not that, then we'll do something, otherwise we'll do the regular check mark thing. Okay. And then we'll say style painter, paint radio button. We gotta figure out what the rect is. So this was the checkmark rect. And I guess it was 1212. That's pretty ugly, but we have to live with some hard coding at the moment. Painter and palette, and the item is checked. Item, we don't have being pressed, so I'm just going to say always false for being pressed. We'll see what this looks like. Not really sure. Oops, oops, oops. Double oops. And we got nothing. All right. So what did we do wrong? Did we forget to set the action group ID? System monitor. We're definitely adding them to the frequency action group here. And the frequency action group presumably has an action group ID. And I guess we can print that out actually. Frequency action group ID is frequency action group. Okay, and then in G menu, oh, we never set it to exclusive. True. Okay, then we don't need the, I think we don't need to print out the thing. Pretty sure it's because I forgot to set the group to exclusive. Nope. All right, fine. I guess I'm a dumbass. All right, fine. Let's see. 57, 58. All right. Well, it's not -1. And nothing to build there. I guess we can say WS menu draw. Oh, I wonder if these are checkable. Let's just print out the item text. It's checkable. Action group ID. Wrong app. Okay, so these are checkable false and action group ID -1. So they're very not checkable. How did we end up with that? Did we not make them checkable? I guess we didn't make them checkable either. Okay. Right. Seems like I was not very diligent about setting everything up. Come on now. There we go. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautifully aligned? Should fix that. WS menu. So the radio rect is, oh shit, we forgot to center the rect vertically. Okay, and we need to update Windows Server actually. All right, here we are. Now this is looking a lot more reasonable. Maybe the alignment is not perfect, but I think the basic idea is very good. Of course, none of them are checked, so we'll have to should probably check one on startup. Let's say this one is checked. And we'll say action set checked. Checked. Okay. And now I built the wrong thing. Maybe we should just build both. There we go. Okay, so this is what I want to see. Of course, it's not going to move just because I select a different one, but we should be able to figure that out. How do we figure that out? I guess, what if we do it on the client side and the callback so that the action will be passed to us? What if we do like action set checked true? Wonder if that would just, I feel like if an action is part of an exclusive action group, then checking any one action in that group should uncheck everyone else. 3. Oh, it works. It totally works. Ooh, ooh. It totally worked. Thank you, Past Andreas, for making that so logical. So all you have to do is just set checked on the action that's giving us the callback, and then that goes ahead and marks everyone else unchecked. That's very nice. So then, in fact, we didn't even need the action group ID on the Windows Server side. We could have just said that this guy is like exclusive, because I feel like the action group ID is sort of confusing the API a little bit, because then you expect to see more about that. So we have checkable. We can say, we can just have Google exclusive. I think that's pretty good. So where do we have these API calls, or IPC calls rather? So not exclusive. But this guy right here, the definition of exclusive is action group, and action group is exclusive, and we are checkable. Cool. All right, then we have to make sure that we handle that nicely over here in Windows Server as well. So instead of setting an action group ID, we just say set exclusive. That's what we call it, right? Exclusive, yeah. Oh shit, now we have to rebuild everything anyway. Changing the Windows Server IPC makes it so that libGUI has to be rebuilt and then everything else has to be relinked, and it's a big rebuilding extravaganza. But this is pretty good. Ah, ooh, ooh. Exclusive. Okay, we are almost there. Oh shit, did I make it in time? That's nice. I love it when I manage to edit something just in time. But in case I didn't though, let's just do another. Yeah, maybe I didn't make it in time. Well, action group ID. Oh, it's so much better if we don't have to care about action group ID. Because that felt like we were just forcing stuff in there that didn't need to be there. So, libGUI action group. Aha. And you, my dear friend, you will just say if is exclusive. Because look at this. Look at this. We have changes in UDP socket. It's definitely not for right now. Oh, right, yeah, the radio button rendering. So let's look at our changes here. So in System Monitor, we now create a action group, and then we put all of those frequency actions into that group, making sure that we check one of them on startup, of course. And then I have some change in process.cpp that's not appropriate right now. Okay, so then in gmenu, we send the exclusive argument along with the add menu item IPC message. Fine. Then when we receive that message in the Windows Server client connection object, then we stash that away in the menu item. And then when we draw menus, we just have a little branch here. If an item is exclusive, it's checkable, but it's exclusive. Then we draw it as a radio button. And just adding these little exclusive flag to WS menu item and updating the IPC message. And damn, if this is not a very pleasantly simple patch. And it works real nice. That's so nice. Okay. libGUI plus Windows Server. Or actually, let's do libGUI and Windows Server first. And then we can do the System Monitor app in a separate commit. Wait, what? Oh shit, wrong server. Draw, show, paint, exclusive actions as radio buttons and menus. Or if an actions that are checkable, and members of a action group now be painted with a radio button appearance in menus. That's really cool. Then system monitor. Put the frequency menu items in exclusive in an action group. This makes them look like radio buttons in the menu, which is very nice increase in polish. Because I think that it really is a nice increase in polish. I mean, look at these just beautiful things here. Let me look at the line wrapping. I feel like the radio buttons are ending up. Job control doesn't work. I don't know. It's just typing that out of habit. They're a little bit too far to the right, aren't they? Let's fix that up. So we are plussing these guys with 7, and then they end up a bit far to the right. So we just stole what the checkmark rect was doing, and checkmark rect is 9 pixels wide, whereas the radio is 12. So what if we just change it that way? I feel like I'm really just I was just putting some number now, but let's see how it feels. These things are very important, obviously. So bring it here. Oh, too far to the left. Can't have that. So how about a fair 5? We might have to bust out the GIMP on this one. See, oh, that just looks so right. Okay, no need for GIMP. Love it. It's so pretty. All right. Fill, and then let's just rebase to put that in the right place. Put that here, and booyah. All right. Great. Now it bothers me that File Manager is doing this wrong, because if you look in File Manager, you can see this. Oh, wait, hold up. They became radio. Oh, it just automatically did that. Why did that even work? What the heck? What are those called? Table view? View as table action. Oh, well, bless my past self and his little heart. It seems like I already made an action group here and put these guys in it. Oh. Okay. So there was no need to do anything. I guess I set it up that way because they're also in the toolbar, and I wanted them to have this exclusive appearance here as well. So now the action group behavior just sort of propagates to the menu as well. So that's super freaking neat. This makes me wonder if we have, do we have this sort of thing somewhere else? Does Paintbrush have this in the menu? Oh, it doesn't even have menus. Terminal, just, oh, this thing. This thing could have that. We should make Terminal have that. Terminal is like the first thing that always starts, and the font menu should clearly be doing this, because you can select the font, and font selection is apparently quite broken. It just becomes black. But regardless, we can make the menu work, right? So how does that work here? Make a menu. Here's the font menu. So we iterate the font database for each fixed width font, create an action. So I guess we'll just do something like auto action. and then we'll say font menu add action action. Font action set checkable true. And the callback, I could just say action set checked true. Also, why is this const? Doesn't, yeah, we don't get a const action here, we get an action. So we need to put them in a group. Font action group. Tap, tap, tap. Where is it? Font action group. Here. Okay. Font action group. Add action. Action. Nice. Oh, and font action group set exclusive true. It's very, very exclusive. Then the last thing we need to do is just make someone be the default, I guess. Or what happens if terminal, because now none of them are going to be checked on startup. But they look very cool. And then we pick one like Chilla Thin. It's selected. Select another one. And that part works, although it looks totally goofy that, oh shit. Wow, there's so much trouble here that needs to be helped. But you can actually switch fonts. It just seems like it needs a little bit of help updating. So what do? We do a force repaint. Needs background fill true. Seems like it needs a resize event to actually take effect. Why does that matter? I guess sizes change. Don't we have did font did change font? There's something like that. Yeah. So we could probably hook that in the terminal. Okay, let's do one thing at a time. First thing is we have to make sure that the font that we're using is selected on startup. So font, we're just using the default fixed width font. And I think it's Chilla Thin that we're using by default. Yeah. So maybe we can just hack this a little bit, or can we look up the name maybe? Does font know its name? Yes, it does. Okay, so we can just check if they're equivalent. Or auto action font action group dot. Oh, for each action. Okay. Or no, hold on. This is stupid. We can just check it here. If terminal font name is equal to font name. Wait, is this even gonna work? Terminal font name, font name. Let's see if this looks right. If we're just comparing the right type of information here, because I'm not sure. Chilla Thin. Okay, it matches up. So we would select this one. That's exactly the right behavior. So if it's that one, then action set checked true. Font loading is, not the best in the system. Definitely needs a lot of work, but that's a huge improvement that this menu is now looking and behaving like radio buttons. Freaking awesome. Terminal. Add font menu. Put in an action group. What did I say in that last commit? Put the frequency menu items in an action group. Put the font menu entries items in action. All right. That's pretty nice. Maybe we can fix up that goofy thing that it doesn't redraw when we change the font. So let's override to change font. Yeah, that's the one. And we'll just call up to base. I think that doesn't do anything. Yeah, doesn't do anything. What does this inherit from? Gframe, actually. Okay. Well, we'll call it Gframe then. So what do we want to do here? I feel like what we really want to do is resize the window so that it fits the new font. So the new size, what would it even be? We never really do that. What happens if we just do that? Is that going to get ignored? Yes. Okay. So what if we are just very sneaky, and can we set relative rect? Damn it! How do we trick it into recomputing everything? I guess re-layout maybe, or like we'll put this in a separate function like that. Okay, and then we can call that down here, relayout size. Shouldn't be a huge rebuild by any means. There we go. Oh, that did not go well. We died because did change font. Calls relayout. Maybe it's way too early. Terminal widget relayout. What are we assuming? We assume we have a scroll bar. Maybe it's too early for that. If and no scroll bar. I'll just return. We didn't even get to the scroll bar yet. Still too early. Oh, divide error. Oh, I wasn't even looking. Okay, what are we dividing here? So that's too dang early. I guess if m line height is 0, we can also just oh, why are you this way? I mean, there's only that one left. I feel so silly now. Where exactly are we crashing? I just want to see it now. Or we can print it out. Relayout. Font glyph width of X. Wait, is this even being done in the right order? I feel like it wasn't. Sometimes the, because I noticed it was rebuilding libvt after the terminal. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so incremental builds still not completely trustworthy. Sometimes libraries come after apps that use them. So that at least worked somewhat, and now relayout sort of works, except it looks a bit like ass. I guess it's because bold font is very stupidly rendered. And then maybe the line height is not recomputed based on the new font. Line height, how do we compute that? It's on startup, all right? Well, we can do that when the font changes, no big deal. Use libvt. It doesn't have to be perfect now. I'm just trying to make it a little bit better. Why the heck are we down there? Oh, that was really strange. At least the line height is... It's looking more like it's supposed to. It's just the bold font is, I guess, hard-coded to use a specific font and size. But why did we start out at the bottom? That was so bizarre. Font glyph height. When do we call did change font? Oh. So we call set font, which may be a no-op, but if it's not, so I guess we should do this before we call set font, or no, we shouldn't. That doesn't make any sense. Why did we end up at the bottom? Very curious. Let's see if we can figure this out too. It's very strange. Line height is 14. That's fine. Why did we go to the bottom? Just want to print these out untouched. Layout 7 and line height 14. So these were fine. It's really just the scroll bar was missing. But how in the heck do we end up at the bottom? Is that what happens when we do a resize normally? No, let's stay on the top. Clear. Why do we end up at the bottom on startup? I don't get it. Cursor. The only thing that we're doing differently is setting the line height. And did change font. Is that really true though? So now I'm confused by the compilation order problems. Wait a minute. Now that's crashy. Oh, okay. And the base size is based on scroll bar width. Fine. Then we call mTerminal set size. Set size. New columns and new rows. Oh, this is a very incorrect value right here. What's up with that? Read layout. I'm guessing that the our size is empty. So we'll do something like if size is empty, don't relayout. Because I guess on startup, we set the font before we've actually set a size of the widget. So we're doing a 0 size layout. And now everything looks good. And it actually updates. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so it's not perfect, obviously, but it's an improvement. Terminal. Where did I put that awkward thing? Here. Okay, libvt. Relayout terminal widget on font change. We were not updating, recomputing the widget dimension, widget internal dimensions after a font changed. Things to look very off. It's still not perfect as we're always using the same small font for bold text, which obviously sticks out like a sore pinky when the rest of the terminal text is large. Okay, so nice little set of patches. I think we are done for the day. It's going to be the end of the video, so if you made it this far, then I thank you for watching and for hanging out while I make these radio things and then fix up the font stuff a little bit in Terminal. Not perfect, but better. And of course the thing that started it all, the frequency menu. Pretty nice. I'm very happy with that. So I hope you saw something interesting here. Back to the GUI stuff, and yeah, it's just nice to keep working on this. I'm just happy that everyone's here and that we keep going, and it's interesting to see where we go in the new year. Anyways, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you tomorrow, or whenever. Bye.